Hi friends, I'm hopping on to do a spontaneous live Q&A today. So as you guys are joining, drop your questions in the comments below. I'm going to be answering anything related to music, ministry, training musicians, playing the piano, life. All of those questions are welcome here today, so thank you guys for joining. I am going to get started. I saw a question posted today that was very interesting, and it was talking about training musicians, and I know that we had talked about that last week, and it seems like it's a very hot topic that a lot of you are having questions about. Hey Carmen, thank you guys for joining. Hey Savannah. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about training people on instruments that you are not comfortable playing. I thought this was a good topic. So what I have done before, I just want to know if you love your auntie. I do. I love my auntie so much. What I have done before is if there is someone who wants to learn to play guitar or bass or drums, I don't play any of those instruments. I play the piano and organ. So what I have done is I have either tried to find someone who is in my church that plays. Cross is nudging the tripod again. And connect them with them. So if you already have a drummer, even if that drummer isn't very good, it doesn't matter, because what you want your drummer to learn is a basic rhythm. Once they learn a basic rhythm and the coordination of that, like playing their foot separate from their left hand and their right hand, kind of getting that all down, then from there they can almost grow on their own, right? Or if you have a bass player, once that bass player learns the notes on the bass, how to pluck the string with this hand and then play a note with this hand, once they learn those techniques, then they can learn to read chord charts, which is something you can teach them, because as a piano player or an organ player, which I'm assuming most of you are, you know how to read a chord chart, so you know what the bass player is supposed to play. Or say if you have somebody in your church who wants to learn to play guitar, have somebody that can sit down with them and just teach them the chords. If you don't have anybody in your church that knows how to do that, then you can go to the good old-fashioned teacher. Not old-fashioned for those of us who are over 30, but for those of you who are under 30, you have used this forever, and that's YouTube. YouTube is a great resource for musicians who want to learn how to play basic, right? And get the basics of your instrument. You can learn notes off of there. You can learn basic tempos and stuff for drums. That's a great resource. Or you can find if they're not interested in YouTube, you could always find a music store close where somebody teaches. I know a lot of guitar centers have places that will teach people to play instruments, and so that's how you can get someone to learn the basics. I'm really big on having your musicians train other people, because when you teach someone else, it makes you better. So I would encourage your bass players and your guitar players, your drummers, to teach lessons, because once they teach what they know, it's going to push them to learn more and to be a better musician. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, especially if you're trying to grow your music department. This is a great tip, because it kind of gets everybody on the train of, oh, we've got to practice, we've got to get better, and it takes your music department to a higher level, kind of without you having to push so hard. And then also I would recommend that you have some sort of band rehearsals. This is key, whether you have new musicians or you have musicians that have played for 20 years. Playing together makes you play better, together. It makes the services go better, because you already know how you're going to play together, how the song is going to work. And the keyboard isn't playing something different from the bass, and whether we realize it or not, people in the audience can hear that and it's like, oh, what was that noise? You know, what? That didn't sound quite right. And we don't want that. So, I have a question here. What is the best piano for churches? I don't think there's one answer for that. You know, the piano that you practice on is the best keyboard for a church. And if you're asking my recommendation for a keyboard for a church, here's what I look for in a keyboard. You want one that sounds good, that has a good piano sound. You want one that has a sustain pedal port in the back where you can plug a sustain pedal into it. You want one that maybe if you use piano and strings. A lot of times I find that people tend to overbuy keyboards. I think it's Yamaha that makes the Montage. I think those are great. I think Nords are great. But if you're not going to use most of the features that are on those keyboards, it can tend to be a waste of money. Now, if you want to push yourself to learn all of the things that the keyboard can do and learn all the features, that's great. But if you're just using a keyboard for the piano feature, then probably spending several $1,000s on a keyboard might be a little more than you need. So that is my recommendation. If you're just dead set on buying a Nord and that's what you want, I eventually think that I'll probably get one. Buy it, but I don't think it's necessarily, well, it's not going to necessarily make you play better if you're not practicing. So that leads me to the next question: how to get better if you feel like you're stuck in a rut. And the only way that you're going to get better is to practice. So encourage yourself and your musicians to practice. I encourage you guys to practice 15 minutes. That's enough for it not to be overwhelming, but you're also kind of getting in the groove. And it feels like for me, when I sit down for 15 minutes in practice, I sort of get inspired and end up maybe even practicing a little more. Find musicians that you can practice with. If you are the only musician in your church, but maybe you have other musical friends, figure out a way that you can get together, drive to locations to meet each other so you can practice. Maybe have a Friday night or a Saturday musician jam session with a couple musicians from other churches where you guys can get together and practice and get better. You're not going to get better without practice. I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but I want to tell you that because I want to be the person that encourages you. I'm making up words over here. Encourages you to get better. One thing that we have tried for our musicians in our church, I think I'm just tired, that's why I'm stuttering, is that we did a group kind of like a spreadsheet board, and we had everybody's name on there. And this is not anything that I monitored. This was totally for our musicians on their own time, but for them to just track how much they were practicing every week. And when they went back and looked, not only at their practice time, but other people's practice time, they could see how the practice time was paying off. So for example, if the drummer is spending time practicing songs, and Sunday he's showing up, being able to play the songs, they sound good, and it's to the point where the singers are comfortable singing with that drummer because they know he knows his stuff. It's just a bleed over. Practice isn't for you to sound good. Practice is so that when you come to sound check, the singers are comfortable singing with you because you're not throwing them off, right? And so then when you guys get in service and you're playing and singing together, worship flows better because you guys came prepared. So that kind of in a nutshell is why practice is so important. So I hope that answers your question about getting better. Hey, you guys, if you're just joining, I am answering questions. Any question about playing the piano, about music ministry, about training musicians, about working with your sound team and your media team. Your sound team and your media team are an important part of worship ministry, believe it or not. So, do y'all use NNS? I have no idea what that is. I'm so sorry. NNS. Does anybody know what NNS is? I don't know how to answer the question. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about working with your sound and your media team. So, just the little bit of traveling that I have done, it has just kind of reiterated to me how important this is. So, for example, if you are showing up to a sound check or a pre-service rehearsal, whatever you call it, I think that everything that you're going to do in service needs to already be prepared for that sound check. Because if you're trying to sing a solo using the words on your phone, what is probably going to happen, I'm not trying to prophesy over anybody's church service, but what's probably going to happen is if the media person doesn't know the song, or they don't have all the lyrics in, or they don't put something up quick enough, then the person singing the solo is going to get embarrassed and is going to have a point in that song maybe where the lyrics don't come fast enough. And so in service, since they don't have their phone, it's like, it kind of kills the song. Do you guys know what I mean? Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to us. So I would recommend building rapport with your media team, building a relationship with them, and then building a system where they come prepared to your rehearsals, because it makes all the difference. Same thing with your sound team. If your sound team isn't there, they don't know what's going on, you haven't communicated to them, little things just fall through the cracks, and it can all show up in service. I'm sure that if you played this Sunday that you know what I'm talking about. And you could probably even write in the comments of something that happened on Sunday. So you can do that. If anything happened that was weird on Sunday, write it in the comments below, because we all have that happen. Okay, the Nashville number system. Yes. I don't use the actual Nashville number system because they tend to use, what is it called? Roman numerals. Thank you. They use Roman numerals. I don't relate to Roman numerals. It's not something I use in my everyday life. So I just used regular old numbers. But playing by number is definitely a goal. If you are a piano player or any kind of musician, really, it's going to make playing so simple for you. So if you have ever tried to play the piano before and you felt like it was hard and difficult, you need to find somebody who can break it down easy for you, because playing by number is going to be one of the ways it's going to break it down easy for you. And then just learning a few techniques with playing the piano is going to show you how easy it really is. Okay, Savannah Brooke, what are some of your vocal warm-ups? Oh, that's a good question. So I love Cheryl Porter. If you guys haven't come across her, she has videos on YouTube. She has a website with a vocal program that is incredible. To me, it's like, for me, I feel like a vocal novice. So it's a very good resource for people who struggle vocally, and I tend to struggle vocally with a lot of vocal tension and stuff like that. So her resource works. I have used her system for our worship team. We've gone through the entire system, her entire program. We're going through it again. If you look her up on YouTube, she has vocal warm-ups there. She has a video called 10-minute vocal warm-up, and I have done that on the way to church before. I also use an app called, I'm going to forget what it's called. It's on my phone, so I can't look at it. It's called Swift Scales. That's what it's called. It's all one word, Swift Scales. If you look that up in your app store, it's a very simple vocal warm-up app to use. And I encourage our worship team to do vocal warm-ups on the way to practice. We don't do that as part of our practice just because it feels like we're always running out of time. And I like to get done like 5 minutes early so nobody feels stressed out. So that's an easy app to use while you're on the road driving. And then, of course, you can't get better than Cheryl Porter. She's just incredible at what she does. So, all right, you guys, thank you guys for joining today. If nobody's told you today, I believe in you. That's why I keep showing up to do these lives. That's why I keep posting on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all the places, because I want to give you guys all of the encouragement, all the resources that you need to be an incredible musician, and I believe that that's what you are. All right, thank you guys for sharing this video with someone that you think it would help, and I hope you guys have a great evening. Bye, everybody.